Thankfully, I didn't keep falling.
21 meters inside a Himalayan crevasse. Alone, one broken...
The highest point on the planet, Mount Everest, has a brilliant beauty, but it is forbidding and unforgiving, and today, deadly.
Everest Khumbu Icefall is the frozen world of the Himalayas, packed with stunning beauty and thrilling challenges. The enthralling ice sculptures challenge its visitors to explore the icy puzzles, surprising them at every step. Khumbu gives its sightseers a taste of wonder and comprises frozen mysteries that await their discovery. No matter how skilled and competent you are, the journey to the top will leave you with twists and turns. The Everest Khumbu Icefall is at the top of the Khumbu Glacier in the bottom of the western CWM. It is located 5,486 meters on the Nepal side of Mount Everest. While the world is fascinated by Everest's beauty and height, the Khumbu Glacier is incredibly unsafe. The glacier is like a slow-moving giant, sliding about 3 to 4 feet daily, causing big blocks of ice to break off from the upper glacier, crushing everything coming in its way. Due to constant ice moving, crevices are formed, which are no joke. They appear to be 100 feet deep and over 50 feet wide. Can you imagine? It takes around 4 years for the ice to enter the Khumbu Icefall and reach the bottom. It becomes even trickier for the climbers to navigate because of the scattered piles of snow, twisted cracks, and small icy blocks. Explorers and climbers have traced various passages through ever-shifting Khumbu Icefall during the last 6 decades, but nothing seems to work as the entire mountain is full of hurdles and dangers. There have been 47 tragic deaths in the Khumbu Icefall between 1953 and 2023. Some bodies were found, while others were lost under piles of snow. Over the years, the moving ice brings bodies of dead mountaineers down the mountain. Some bodies have perished because of high cold temperatures, and it's hard to identify them. Despite that, 800 climbers face a challenge every year. It's a reminder of adventurous risks in the frozen realm. A decade ago, tragedy struck, marking one of the most horrific events in mountaineering history. The events that day left lasting memories that can't be erased from our minds. In 2014, the climbing season began like any other. Mountaineers from around the world began to gather in the Everest Base Camp, nestled at an altitude of 17,600 feet. Some hikers were climbing the mountain for the first time with high hopes and grand aspirations, while many guides and Sherpas planned to fulfill the same goal. In the pre-dawn darkness of April 18, 2014, expedition teams prepared to make their first ascent into the heart of the Khumbu Icefall. Climbers' faces were marked with a mix of excitement and anxiety. The veteran Sherpas led the climbers moving in single file as they were aware of the ice rocks and crevices threatening to swallow everything coming their way. The sun peeked out of the clouds, painting the surrounding hills with a gold hue. The group members were adjusting their climbing gear and covering their bodies with snow jackets, preparing themselves for the quest. The climbers commenced their journey and set out in a single file. They were cautiously moving forward, making their way through the jumbles of ice formations. The Sherpas diligently prepared ropes and ladders to facilitate the group members. No one knew that an invisible danger was lurking high above them. The guys in the line were busy chatting, cracking jokes, and sharing their goals and ambitions. At approximately 6:45 a.m., an ear-splitting crack was heard in the air, followed by an eerie rumble coming out of the heart of the mountain. Suddenly, a colossal block of ice, more extensive than a multi-storied building, had broken free from the glacier that clung to Everest's flanks. The ice block ran down with full gravity in an incredible ice mass. On its way down, it shattered huge mountain rocks, now running down in the form of a rumble. The group members in the line had no idea what was happening, but they could imagine the damage that was about to take place. Some men tried to get rid of the ropes and gears and wanted to jump on the other side for safety, but it was so sudden that they couldn't initiate the plan. Before they even knew it, the catastrophe fell on them. The colossal ice block smashed into the Khumbu Icefall, which triggered massive destruction. It felt like an earthquake had jolted the mountain, and the earth was gradually skipping from the feet. Huge rocks and ice blocks began to fall. Climbers below had no time to react. Sherpa shouted and alerted other members, but it was too late. They were caught in the relentless grip of an avalanche that showed no mercy. The extreme mountain climber overtook all the innocent sounds shouting for help. The ice block crushed everything, burying climbers in its suffocating weight. The scale of the disaster was so immense that 16 Sherpas, the expedition's backbone, were the first ones the calamity swept away. Even their years of experience didn't match the unstoppable force of an avalanche. Some of the climbers clung to any surface that was available, but were later found severely injured. The avalanche continued for a while, and then there was a grim silence in the air. Some of the guys who were safe carefully emerged to discover a scent of devastation. It seemed unreal. It was not true. How could this happen? Everest Khumbu icefall looked nothing less than a graveyard. Bodies were buried beneath mounds of snow. Only legs and arms appeared while the rest of the bodies submerged under heavy rocks. Survivors emerged with shocked faces and horror. They ran towards sites and began to dig frantically through the snow. They were crying and desperately searching for survivors, hoping to find signs of life, but it was too late. Hours later, the rescue efforts began. Helicopters began to transport in and out, airlifting the injured to the closest altitudes where doctors were present to help. But the disaster was so immense that people injured at the time passed away when help reached. 16 Sherpas died instantly, leaving behind a story of bravery and heroism. The news of the incident spread like fire in the world. The international climbing community was shocked to hear of the massive casualties and injuries. It raised a global conversation about the safety of Sherpas and climbers. This was the first time mountaineers' challenges and disparities came under the spotlight. In the aftermath, the climbing season was ended abruptly by the authorities. Grief and mourning swept through the mountaineering world. Their families didn't just experience the loss of their loved ones, but had to go through economic hardships. The event showed that sometimes one must pay high costs to search for adventure. In the following months, climbers denied going to Everest as it was portrayed as risky and threatening. The tragedy ignited a fierce debate within the climbing community and beyond. Questions were raised about the safety of Sherpas, who often bore the brunt of the risks involved in setting up the climbing route and supporting the expeditions. The number of climbers and mountaineers reduced, which prompted the need for significant changes in security and safety. The mountaineering authorities and the Nepal government re-evaluated safety measures on Everest and promised to improve their security. This resulted in alterations in the climbing route and better communication systems. Sherpas' safety and well-being were also highlighted. Questions were raised regarding their working conditions, compensation, and insurance coverage. It seemed like authorities never paid much attention to these factors. The questions triggered anger and outcry in their families. The leaders acknowledged Sherpas' contributions and importance in the climbing industry and promised to make all the changes required for their security.